So it's day 2. Worked on this truck yesterday, tried to get a video out, but I actually had lost some audio. So went ahead on and just waited. So if you'll notice, maybe some of y'all caught it, but in the other video, you'll see me wearing a Dr. Tunamal shirt and you'll see me wearing a Cletus shirt. It's because I actually refilmed the pulling the ECU part and put it on the bench harness part again. Anyways, got the new throttle body. So let's go ahead on and install this thing and data log it and make sure we got the problem resolved. So yesterday I'd actually already go ahead on and loosened up that intake pipe. As you guys can see, somebody painted the outside of it to make it look good, but the inside is just nasty and you can tell where it's been in the truck for a while. I'm gonna assume these are 10 mil. They are over tightened, but they are. Safely recovered all the washers. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna pull this connector. Be careful with this connector. This connector is prone to getting broken. So there we have, throttle body's off. You'll see it's pretty nasty, pretty oily. So let's get this thing swapped over. All right, so as y'all can see, genuine GM part. Please always do that. These reman throttle bodies will cause you a ton of issues. That thing was like $178 straight off of Amazon, and it was here in one day. So we're in the truck now, throttle body's installed, letting the truck warm all the way up. You really can't compare idle desired airflow with dynamic airflow until the truck is warmed up, so there's no sense of me screen recording a truck warming up. But as you can tell, currently AC is off, and dynamic airflow, you'll see right here, we're averaging right around 11-ish, and you'll see right here we're around 11-ish. So where it was trying to pull like 5 or 6 grams per second of airflow out, and it was showing idle desired airflow at like 5, you'll see now we're actually in the ballpark of where it wants to be. So I can double check with the AC on. It's probably gonna want a little bit more airflow with AC on. That's normal with cam trucks, but we can watch and see. So you'll see right here, we're 12.5, almost 13. And we're a little bit over that, but that's just because it wants more idle adapt. So anyway, so throttle body definitely solved our idle issue. So now we can go ahead on, and I'm probably going to go on and drive the truck up the street, because the customer had said one of his biggest complaints was how the transmission was shifting. So I'd like to just feel it for myself. Again, this does have my base file now, so it should have a trans tune in it that should shift pretty clean. Like it should be, you should be able to feel it, but it shouldn't be like neck snapping or feeling like shit. So that's probably what I'm gonna do, is I'll probably get everything set up in here to go drive it, and then we'll just go drive the truck and double check it. Because there's actually a Mustang on the 4-post right now that needs to come off anyways before I can even get on the dyno. So might as well just take it out and drive it and check it out. Before we take this truck out and drive it, I just want to make sure I give you guys a little tip. I was making an adjustment and I just got to thinking, I was like, man, this is something I haven't showed them before. So what we're doing is we're going to adjust the amount of airflow for the AC compressor. So what happens is whenever you install an aftermarket camshaft, it makes less idle torque. And because it makes less idle torque, it doesn't have the nuts behind it to actually turn the AC compressor like what it once had with a small camshaft. So if you notice right now, idle adapt is 0.4. And just a few seconds ago in the video, I showed you guys there was actually a pretty big difference. It was going from like -2 to like adding 1.5. So I wanted to close this gap up. So if you watch this right now, let me go and cut it on the AC. You'll see how it goes back to 0. And then I can shut it off and it goes to 0.3. And I can kick it back on and it goes back to 0.0 when the compressor engages. It's not engaged right now. There it goes. So I've got it super close now. So what I did was on the trucks, this table right here, this is under torque model loss, AC compressor, and this is AC versus pressure. This table right here is actually zeroed out from the factory. So what I do is actually on these, I just went and grabbed the stock torque settings for like a 2004 Chevy Corvette. So if you want to screenshot this and look, this is the settings that I used. These settings right here, I mean, got the truck damn near dead on with the AC adapt as far as the idle airflow goes. So again, it would have been 0, all the zeros across the board, but now it looks like this. So this actually right here is KPA, which is, this is the KPA that's based off of the AC pressure sensor, because this era of truck has a 3-wire AC pressure sensor, so it's actually a pressure sensor, not a switch. So the truck actually understands the AC head pressure. So just by filling in this data right here, you've got the truck to where idle adapt is just a little bit off. Like I've told y'all, I prefer them to be like pulling like a half gram per second or so. But then when I can kick on the AC, you'll see it goes right back to 0 versus adding 1.5. So anyways, just wanted to show you guys that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get this truck ready to go out on the street and we'll test drive it. So everything's ready to go. I just running over and grab my driver's license too. I don't like sitting on my wallet the whole time I'm tuning these trucks. And also, I'll show you guys, I actually I flipped over the cold air intake, the Spectra intake, but I had assumed somebody had modified it to where it wouldn't fit. So it looked hideous, but I guess they had it upside down for the high ram. So I kept looking at it, I'm like, man, I bet I can flip this thing back over. And so I flipped it back over, and sure enough, it was fine. And this truck is showing like negative on fuel. I'm hoping it's telling me a lie, but I went and grabbed my driver's license and did not grab a credit card. So I'm gonna grab a credit card, and we're gonna go take this truck over to the fuel station. So far, everything's looking good. Again, this is my base file. This is a combination that I tune. I mean, I probably tune 3 or 4 of these a week, sometimes via remote. Sometimes I'll just do quick street tunes at the house. But these things, I mean, I've got them pretty close. Now, the MAF curve in this truck is actually still currently the one that was in it. That's one of the only things I didn't change in the tune-up, but I did change stoic. So the MAF curve actually was, I mean, it was close-ish. So because I changed stoic to 14.08, that's automatically going to cause the ECU to run 4% rich, or 4.4% rich. So some of these short-term fuel trims are just based off of me changing the stoic, but I'm sure we'll have to make some minor changes to the MAF. Again, I don't think this truck's ever seen a dyno. I think this was just a quick street tune that somebody did driving it around. But now V table's set up now, cranking V table's correct. Everything else is correct. I could not identify the injectors. But looking at the injector data, I'm going to just I will never do this normally, but I'm just going to have to assume that whoever did the tuning in this before used the plug and play data, because the data actually looks pretty legit. So we're just going to stick with it. So far, the V table, everything is lining up pretty similar to what I would have with the stock injector truck. So I'm going to assume that their injector data is probably pretty spot on. Anyways, we're going to drive this truck over to the fuel station and hope it doesn't run out. Apparently, this truck was sitting outside over the weekend, and the customer's son decided that he wanted to come to the shop and rev the truck up for 30 minutes. So if the son is watching this, we know that was you, and that's really not good to do that on an untuned truck. I wouldn't do that. All right, I'm gonna put fuel in the truck. I'll be back. All right, we're back in the truck. Apparently gas gauge does work, so we were just about to run out. Anyways, truck seems to be driving good. Transmission feels good. I haven't gone through any of the shift points or anything yet, but as far as the rest of like my pressures and shift times and things like that, I mean, the trans feels great. So let's get on back to the shop, and I'll move that Mustang off the 4-post, and we'll go ahead on and put this thing on the dyno. So as always, we're going under the truck. Look everything over. Engine is new. Tires look good. Exhaust looks like it's got some pace setter painted headers with some welded on V-bands. So I mean, I guess that works. They decided to do some crush bent pipe there, which is kind of strange, but I guess it works. Same on this side. It's got just a random bend from a speed engineering kit up there. Put some cutouts on it. Didn't even know that. I'm assuming there's a switch in there, so we may try those. This exhaust should be free flowing enough though, but I mean, we may do just a pull before and after with the cutouts open and closed. It's like true dual 3-inch, got some flow masters back here. This all looks good. I mean, it's all crush bent stuff, but it looks good. Drive shaft has been replaced, so that looks brand new. Transmission's also been replaced, so I mean, everything looks good under here. So let's get this thing down and get on the dyno. All right, so got the truck up on the dyno now. Dyno is set up in vehicle simulation mode. My wideband has been installed. I installed it in just one of the front bungs. So the truck is now in open loop. I am using the Ballinger AFR 500 V2 wide. If anybody is wondering, it runs the NTK sensor. So we're just going to drive the truck. I'm just going to run it up to second gear. Just kind of get an idea. I've made some minor MAF changes, but nothing too crazy right now. I pretty much just pulled off the 4% that the MAF would have been off due to the stoic point adjustment. So as of right now, the wideband's showing the truck just a little bit lean in the mid-range. So let's lock this thing into gear and go ahead on and roll into second gear. so lifting. This thing was pretty lean. I mean, we're talking like 10% lean. So looks like we may have a conflict right here between our injector flow rate versus V from Dyno. Anyways, for right now, I'm just going to make the adjustments on fueling and just keep going through pulls just to try to make sure the truck gets to its happy spot. All right, logging back into the truck now. Just made those MAF adjustments. Again, if you don't know what I'm doing, like if you haven't seen me do this before, just please roll back through other videos. I've done a ton of videos on MAF tuning as far as what I'm doing on the dyno. I don't want to have to do that in every single video. So far everything's looking good though. We're going to go ahead on and put this thing in a second gear. We're in vehicle simulation mode. So I want to get to where we can do a wide open throttle pull and the fueling looks good. Right now I'm still kind of thinking that the injector data is wrong, but I'm going to do some more pulls and compare it to data that I have on last vehicles and then determine that. All right, so that was a pull to 65.50 or so. Looks halfway decent. Just working through fueling on this. Looks like we're still a little bit off, but nothing crazy. I mean, you can see right here, this is commanded versus actual. We're only a couple % off. So I'm not too terribly concerned about that. Looks like we have a touch of knock up top. Knock sensor sensitivity is factory, so what I'll do is I will pull that timing out, and then if it actually goes away on here, then it may be valid. If it doesn't go away, then we may have some false knock. This truck is honestly not getting very high up on the MAF frequency, so it may not be as strong as I would have anticipated. I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to work on this fueling some more via MAF table. Again, if you haven't seen that, you can go back through. There's the video I did with the green 9902 truck that shows, I mean, pretty much every video where I've got a vehicle in the dyno shows how to do the MAF tuning. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just using EQ air versus MAF. Again, my VE table is calculating in the background V from dynamic airflow over here. I'm also calculating from brake specific fuel consumption, but this number is off on this specific vehicle for some reason. So again, we may have some bad injector data. Again, I did not change the injector data. It's what was in the truck whenever I received the truck for tuning. But I will compare my MAF curve to other MAF curves that I've done, and as long as we're within the ballpark, we're gonna let it ship. But I mean, even the horsepower calculator is showing a little bit low on this thing. So anyways, I'll do some fuel tuning and we'll do some more pulls. Everything looked good data-wise, so I've added some fuel, or adjusted the fuel, I should say. Went ahead on and set up the dyno. We're gonna do a 3,000 to 6,400 pull. This one is gonna be loaded in second gear, so the pull is gonna be longer, but that's okay. If I didn't say it in this video already, I do anticipate this truck to make somewhere between 290 to 310 horsepower. If we're lower, then it could have something wrong. If it makes more, then great. I mean, the customer will be happy. Yeah, everything's looking good. So I'm gonna start the camera outside and let's do a pull. Alright, so as y'all see, we've got some knock showing up top. Felt it in the truck. It felt like the truck was pulling it out. Don't know that it was actual knock. I'll have to check the video that you guys just watched. So I'll check it and see. Well, let's get out and see what kind of power this thing made. Alright, so we have, oh, not bad. 309.6 horsepower, 307 foot-pounds of torque. You can look right here, you can see where the timing ripped out. So it's definitely going to be false to pull that much. I can actually pull up the trace. So we'll just click view trace So here, I'll rescale this thing. So you can see right here, that's all timing being pulled. It's literally just false knock. So I'll tinker with the sensitivity on the knock sensors. This thing's making some power. Like I said, I thought it was going to do between 290 and 310. So it's all over 310. And for you guys that are new here, this is a Mustang dyno, so this is going to read 10% lower than a Dynojet. So that would be right at 340 to 350 wheel, somewhere in the ballpark. And we still haven't got all the timing in there just yet. So I'm gonna make some adjustments to the knock sensors and we'll do another rip. We're logged back in the truck after doing that dyno pull that did the 309 horsepower. I've made a slight change to knock sensor sensitivity. This is probably gonna be our final pull. Again, for those of you that are new here, I tune this setup a lot. I mean, a lot. So I pretty much know right where they're gonna wanna be. So again, we're gonna do a 3,000 to 6,400 RPM pull. I'll get the transmission into second gear locked. And it says vehicle simulation mode, closed loop. So let's go ahead on and roll into it. Still showed a touch of knock up top. Nothing terrible though. Again, if you're new here, I adjust high octane and low octane tables to where the truck can automatically tune itself as far as ignition timing goes. So me seeing a little bit of knock is not a big deal. So let's get out and see what it made. All right, so 312 horsepower, 310 foot-pounds of torque. Again, I didn't put any extra timing in the thing. I actually just adjusted the knock sensors to where it wouldn't have that big strong dip in it. So we'll scale this thing up and I'll go ahead on and add the other one. All right, so you'll see where I adjusted the knock sensor sensitivity to where it didn't rip all that false knock out. Now the curve actually looks smooth. So it's okay that it's showing a little bit of knock because it may actually have a little bit. The truck is warm. So the only reason why you're gonna see these gains right here is because the truck cooled off for a few minutes. I think when I did that first pull, it was like 212 degrees. I think that pull, it was in the lower 200s. So again, I tune these things at the normal temperatures and the normal everything that you're gonna be driving them on. I don't let them cool off and do all the crazy hero pulls. So anyways, we're gonna call that good on the power pulls and let's roll into the trans stuff. We're gonna do some dig pulls on the dyno. All right, so we're down to the last little part of tuning. We used the Blue Cat tool to set up the transmission shift points. We're gonna target like a 63 to 6,400 RPM shift. If you haven't seen that video, just check out the video with the green truck. On the thumbnail that says 4060 tuning, that'll teach you how to do the Blue Cat tool. Let's go on and do this thing from a dig. So I'm gonna go on and pull it down in the third, D3, and start the rear camera. We're gonna stall it up just a touch and launch it. All right, so this thing's still showing a bunch of false knock up top. Not real sure what that's about. Didn't show it on the 1-2 shift, it just showed it when it was loaded into gear. Anyways, right now I'm just worried about trans stuff. So all right, so we got a 6,300 RPM shift. It's not terrible. I'll probably bump it up just a little bit more than that. And MAF is still just a little bit off. I'm gonna go ahead on and make an adjustment there. And I'm going to make an adjustment on the knock sensor some more up top. So that's where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. All right, so we're back up in the truck. We're about to do the second dig pull. I added 2 miles per hour to the 1-2 and the 2-3 shift, both on the up shift and the down shift side at the very, very top. I made a slight adjustment to the MAF, and that's really about it. So let me start the rear camera. We'll stall the truck up a little bit, and let's do a hit. Alright, so I mean, that's pretty much on the money on the shift. A 4,500 or so. Fueling looks basically dead nuts on. Two, three shift looks good. So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much done on here. So let me get this thing off the dyno and we'll get it out on the street. All right, so we're gonna go on the final test drive. Don't do a crazy long test drive as we already drove it earlier. Cut this AC on. Just gonna buzz it up the road, make sure shifts and everything feel good. Fuel trim's looking clean. Now again, if you're new here, I mean, I tune everything where it's in hybrid mode, where we're, you know, MAF above 4,000 V, below 4,000. High octane, low octane tables function as normal. I mean, everything works just like factory. So we don't do any shortcuts here. Truck feels good though. Throttle's responsive. Comes right back down to idle like it's supposed to. Exhaust is a little droney, nothing too bad though. Laptop's about to die. Bought a 12 volt charger from Amazon and it worked good for a little bit, but it's not working that good anymore. So I've only got a couple minutes to go on the laptop. All right, so I'm gonna spin this thing around and I'm gonna come to complete stop and we're gonna brake torque it, act like we're about to do a burnout, and just make sure that it doesn't crash on idle. No, she looks good. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna pull out. We'll do a wide open throttle hit. Let's get out in front of these guys. All right, see what it does. Felt pretty good. Shift was on time. All looks solid. So we'll call it done right there. All right guys, so that wraps up a video on the truck Norris equipped 2005 Silverado. Don't forget to put your fuses back in after you're done flashing a P59 truck. Again, here's what the intake looks like once I got it flipped around the correct way, since it wasn't whenever we got it. Thanks for all the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos. We'll have a Trailblazer SS that's got an LS3 swap that's cammed coming up tomorrow. So if you're not already subscribed, please do, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.